Hey, everybody, I'm Mark Smelzer, Chief Content Exec at Jewelers Mutual and the host of this interview series, the Zing Zooms. The Zing Zooms are meant to be 10-minute snack-sized interviews with some of the most interesting people in our business, and today's is no exception. I'm very excited for you to see this interview I just completed with Monica Stephenson, founder of ANZA Gems, and truly one of the most involved and engaged people in our business. As you'll see, Monica involves herself with ethical sourcing, helping artisanal mining communities. She participates on boards. She's very involved with an organization called Gem Legacy. So I can't wait for you to hear it all. Sit back and relax, and we'll see you in a minute.
Everywhere we look, our world is changing faster than ever. But the change was always coming. While disruption is never easy, legacy is born from challenge, and hope flows from the connection with our customers, the strength of our communities, and the love of our family and friends. Jewelry is the thing that brings us all together, marking our milestones, lifting our hearts, and reminding us why we do this. 'Cause it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that zing.
That's why Jewelers Mutual launched the Zing platform, the easy-to-use, one-stop shop to navigate our changing industry. With fast and free access to best-in-breed services, solutions, industry tools, and information, the Zing platform is an all-in-one platform to connect, explore, and discover. For everyone in our industry, it's the jewelry marketplace for today and tomorrow.
And the Zing platform offers something for everyone. Transparent access to a world-class diamond marketplace. A simple step-by-step appraisal engine tapping GemWorld's deep expertise, as well as a place to find fast, secure, and cost-effective shipping solutions. What's more, it makes completing everyday tasks easy.
When the world zags, we zing. At Jewelers Mutual, we've been doing this for over 100 years, and we're just getting started. Harness the power of the industry and unlock your potential. All you gotta do is zing.
And we're back with Monica Stephenson. Welcome, Monica. So happy to have you on the show.
Hi, Mark. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So we were chatting before this and just sort of giggling over, you are involved in so many things. You have such an amazing life. It's like virtually impossible to get it into this format, but there were a few things that we wanted to discuss. First question, how did a girl from Iowa end up in Seattle in the jewelry business as a leader in ethical gems and all things ethical?
That's a really good question. And it turns out that it's kind of a circuitous path, but I think I realized recently it's been over 25 years, I think,
Wow.
that I've been in the jewelry industry. So it was actually my very first job, real job, in college. And I worked for a really wonderful jewelry retailer in Iowa City, Iowa, where I was going to college. And they were really at the forefront of kind of this designer jewelry movement. And I was an aspiring art major and art history major. And I recognized immediately, like, when jewelry is not commoditized and stamped out, it's art. It's actually small sculpture. So I was hooked. I was completely hooked. I thought this was going to be my, part-time whatever job, and it turned into kind of a full-time, very full-time career. So that path led me to actually starting an internet business in the late 90s, and eventually working for Amazon to launch their jewelry store in the early 2000s. Oh. So I've kind of done a little bit of like jewelry. It's also straddled a little bit of tech, and I kind of feel like everything sort of led to this path.
Awesome. And so you are the founder of ANZA Gems, and those are the actual finished gemstones, polished gemstones that you source through these ethical means, correct? I mean, what makes ANZA Gems special?
Yeah, so I guess the next question is, how does a girl from Iowa get to a mine in Kenya, right? Like that's kind of
Exactly.
that's really the leap right there. After Amazon, we had kids, and when my children were very young, actually babies, I started the blog idazzle.com, and
Right, right,
I
right.
wrote about jewelry and was kind of an early adopter of social media and communicating through various online platforms. And I learned about this film that was being shot in East Africa, following a gemstones journey all the way from the mines through the whole finished process. And they were going to be going to Tanzania and Kenya and going to visit gem mines and kind of see that whole side of the industry. And I was just incredibly captivated by this idea. I didn't know anyone involved. I'd never been to anything. I'd never been involved at all at the source community, like where things come from. And I think that was this deep curiosity of where did things come from? And I had started to kind of write more about ethics and responsibility on the blog. And I just felt like this was something that I needed to do. I needed to see. So I went in, I think it was 2014, got off the plane after 35 hours and went straight to a gem mine, a
Wow.
Savarite mine in Kenya.
Wow.
And to say that it changed my life is not really hyperbole, right? Like I
Yeah.
was just incredibly struck by how hard people are working. So colored gemstones come from, 80 to 90% of gemstones come from artisanal communities that look a lot like what I went and visited in Kenya and Tanzania. And so I'm like, wow, people are working so incredibly hard. And then they have no visibility, no recognition. The financial aspect is not nearly the same for them at the beginning of the chain as it might be at the end of the chain. And I kind of came back from that trip thinking, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to bridge, these two divides. And so I developed a circular business model where, and that's where ANZA Gems came from. ANZA means begin in Swahili, and it was just so
Ah,
crazy. It was so insane. But I'm like, you just have to start. You just have to start. And so I now go 2 to 3 times a year to East Africa. I go to Kenya, Tanzania, drive in the vehicle over super rough roads, hours and hours to get to these really pretty remote artisanal mine sites. I visit mining communities, I meet with the miners, and then I buy rough gems from brokers there and then bring them back to the States and usually have them cut by US precision facetors. And that's a little unusual. There's not that many. And there's very few women precision facetors in the US, but we
interesting.
are we use several of them, and we are kind of nurturing and kind of supporting and hope to really see that kind of expand. So I have the gems cut, and then when they sell, 10% goes back to those communities via funding of entrepreneurial community development initiatives, schools, both at the primary, secondary, and the vocational level. So teaching them kind of how to bridge that, again, how to bridge that gap. So it's a lack of resources, it's a lack of education. And so some of that can be done and can be funded.
Awesome. And I know, I mean, you're on boards like, advisor with Black and Jewelry and the National Board of the WJA and so on and so forth. But I know that you're also really involved with Gem Legacy. And is that the organization that actually connects this, like that does these things that you mentioned?
Exactly. So when I first started ANZA, it was kind of ad hoc. I would be there and I would see there's a need at the school near a ruby mine, or and maybe it's 500 here, $1,000 there. Just kind of like sponsor a student or something like that at a vocational school. But about 3.5 years ago, the Gem Legacy was founded It's a 501c3 that was founded by the Dairy family. So Roger,
Right.
Ginger, and Rachel Dairy, who are
Right.
lovely people, and actually was my very first experience in Africa. And again, they had been doing ad hoc projects, kind of like just funding, fueling things that they saw the need for. And Gem Legacy was really a way of kind of, I would say, formalizing that support and really creating a 501c3 that captures, funding, but then can direct it towards very specific endeavors that are on the ground there. And there's a lot of oversight, a lot of community partnership, because we're already involved in these mining communities. And so you can clearly see where the need is, but you can also have really great local partners to help execute these initiatives. The board covers all of the admin of the, all the admin expenses of the org. So 100% of all the donations can go directly towards these initiatives. And in East Africa, a little bit can go a long way. So it's really important, to get the funding there, especially during COVID. And these artisanal communities were really, really challenged, really hurting. And luckily, Gem Legacy, Rachel was actually on the ground there for a big chunk of time in 2020 and was able to actually personally, physically oversee the distribution of, food and supplies and aid to mining communities where the buyers disappeared overnight, right? So, and actually, in some cases have yet to really reappear en masse. So like, I hope to be traveling here in 2022, but a lot of buyers haven't been able to get there. So yeah. I really appreciate Gem Legacy just in the accountability and the visibility and the grassroots kind of nature of the org.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to, we'll post some information, some text at the end of the interview about if people want to get involved with Gem Legacy. So that's wonderful. And as always in these interviews, I can't believe it, but time is up. So, but I just
love the little bites. It's just a little bite,
just a little snack size. But
yes.
Honestly, thank you so much for this chat. And I just have to say that I really admire you. You're someone who clearly has had a lot of blessings, including a beautiful family. And yet you give back, you participate, and you really give back, and you really help others. So thank you and congrats.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity, and so good to see you.
Good to see you. And I will see you in real life on the circuit in 22.
Very soon, I hope.
I hope
exactly. Very soon. Yes.
Okay,
Thank
Monica.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.